Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Pada pagi ini kita mengundang pembicara dari University of Maryland. Nama beliau adalah Tarif Shraim. Beliau adalah chaplain dari University of Maryland di College Park. Dan beliau akan membantu para youth kita, para anak muda kita untuk memahami tentang masalah gender relation di dalam agama Islam. Insya Allah yang kita harapkan dari kehadiran beliau di sini adalah untuk berbagi ilmu dan pengetahuan kepada anak-anak muda kita bagaimana bersikap yang baik atau berinteraksi yang baik khususnya dengan sesama anak muda yang berlainan gender, dan di situ mereka akan banyak memahami bagaimana Islam memandang masalah tersebut. Insya Allah sesi ini akan sangat berguna bagi mereka semua.
Today we will be discussing "'Tis the season of cuffing," basically dating. Okay. The season's getting colder and everyone's trying to warm up with hot cocoa, parkas, and a significant other. Throughout this lecture, you will see Islam's take of this time of year and throughout the year the right way. Okay, and just so you all know, yesterday, if you were here with the chairs, it became kind of like really crowded, which is why we took them out. But like just because this like feels really chill, it's still a lecture, and we still want to give the speaker the utmost respect that we showed all the other speakers, correct? And just an introduction of today's speaker. Tarif Shraim currently works as a Muslim chaplain at the University of Maryland in College Park. His engagement with Islamic activism started when he was an undergraduate student at the university. As he became more involved with the Muslim Students Association, he found a sense of fulfillment he never anticipated. He enjoyed working with students one-on-one, guiding them and helping them find an inner sense of empowerment through Islam. Although he is a full-time manager at a private company, this does not prevent him from dedicating his life addressing issues facing the Muslim students as well as answering questions about Islam from the campus community.
Assalamu alaikum. Are you guys ready? Stomach's full? Sure? Any doubters here? Anybody wants to go to bed and sleep? Raise your hand. Oh, alhamdulillah, some of us. Can you take a comment over there? Sure, take it. You want? It's perfectly fine. My name is, sorry, I have a frog in my throat. And I've heard this expression before, I didn't really understand it. Frog in my throat. So I'm going to sound funny until it clears up. My name is Tarif Shraim, not Tarif Shraim. Tarif Shraim. So I'm the Muslim chaplain, as you heard from Zahra at the University of Maryland. I grew up here, and I also work for a company. So I deal with, have you heard of fraud? Have you heard of phishing? Phishing. What's phishing? That phishing is a different type of phishing. Who knows of it? Go ahead. Scams, excellent, electronic scams. You know people who will try to steal your money on the internet? They set up a fake site, and they make you believe that it's a real site, and then you go fill out your information. You see, now you don't have bank accounts. Who has a bank account? All right, mashallah, you have bank accounts. So you know, have you ever gone online and filled out your information? No, never. Good for you. A lot of these sites are fake. So part of what I do, my work, we go find those bad sites and shut them down. So there's a lot of criminal activity out there, bad stuff going on. So if you're in social media, a lot of the links that you see might take you to bad sites, and they just want to steal your identity, steal your money, really nasty. I'm also, as I said, and this is where I really love to spend my time. Love to spend my time with students, because I feel like my own journey changed when I was a student at the university. Who is in college now? Raise your hand, I want to see it. Who's at the University of Maryland? All right, we have one. Alhamdulillah, go Turks, right? No?
Yes.
Maybe?
Yes.
Alhamdulillah. Who is in high school? Raise your hand. Let me see. Keep your hand up. All right, who's in middle school? Who's looking 6th grade? 6th graders? Who's in 5th grade? 5th grade? All right, 4th grade. Anybody in elementary school here? They shouldn't be here. All right, I know somebody was probably in elementary, like, no, I'm not gonna raise my hands. All right, alhamdulillah. Well, welcome, brothers and sisters. I'm very happy to be with you this morning. Very excited to talk about a subject that really was on my mind from when I was like 10, right? No joke. Because this is a subject that is in all of our minds. How do we deal with each other as boys and girls, men and women? You know why we talk about this subject? Who can tell me? Is it something that you can just totally avoid in life? Like, just, you know what? Who cares about this? Is it wrong to think about it? Who says that it's wrong to think about boy meets girl, girl meets boy? Who just thinks flat out this is just messed up? Why are we even talking about it this morning? Raise your hand. It's okay. Perfectly fine. Who can tell me? Who has an idea? Yes? Raise your hand. Is it a bad idea to talk about it? It's like, why even bother? Raise your hand. Is it a good idea? Is it, yeah? Raise your hand. Well, I have a group that didn't raise their hand for the first question. The same group didn't raise their hand for the second question. Something is going on here. Do you guys think it's normal or abnormal, not normal, for us to be talking about this? It's like, why bother with this question? Why are we even thinking about boy meets girl, girl meets boy? Who cares about that question? If you think that it's not an important question, raise your hand. If you think it's an important question, raise your hand. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Alhamdulillah. Brothers and sisters, this is part of our biology. Who took biology classes? Okay. See, Allah Azza wa Jalla, who created you and me, gave us our hearts and minds, gave us our souls, gave us our feet and hands and eyes, also made us, right, boys and girls. Allah created Adam alayhi salam and put him in Jannah. The first thing that he did with Adam alayhi salam, see, he put Adam in Jannah, and Jannah was a lot of fun. Did you hear about this? Jannah is bliss. That's our home. So Allah put him in Jannah, and he said, Adam, you have everything you wish for in this place. You have every delicious food you can imagine, every delicious drink. You have all these gardens and a beautiful home. Here is your permanent home. Do you know that Adam actually enjoyed it up to a point and then he became bored? Do you know this? You know why he was bored? He's a human being. So what did he need? Raise your, I need to hear. I have a hearing problem. What did he need? Say it. Say it. A what? Spouse. He needed a spouse. You know who made him need a spouse? Allah. So it's a need, brothers and sisters. Who can say that love is not a good idea? Who says that love is necessary? Raise your hand. Yes. You know what the word wired means? When you wire something, our brains are wired to love and to be loved. And we need to love in life, and we need to have mates or spouses. It's like, denying this is like denying food or drink. You know this? That's why in Islam you hear the notion or the idea that Islam rejects asceticism, like, being an ascetic who says, I don't want life. I'm not going to marry. I'm not going to talk to no one. I'm going to go live in a cave. Like this exists, for example, in other faith traditions. Not in Islam. Somebody came to the Prophet ﷺ and says, oh, Prophet of Allah, I love Allah so much. I'm going to pray night and day and fast every day and never ever marry a woman. You know what the Prophet ﷺ told him? It's not my way. You want that way? Then you don't belong to me. You're not my friend. That's not Islam. Islam is to live life and meet your needs. Meet your needs. But there is a way to meet needs that is healthy, that makes you function well, that makes you happy, that makes you operate normal, that makes you not fail, that makes you not break. And there are ways that can destroy you. For example, you heard of the notion of extravagance. We're in a consumer society. So every single time you're hungry, what do? Do you have to struggle and wait to, oh, who goes hunting here? It's like every single time we need a meal, we say, hey kids, I'm like a dad, go out and hunt the deer. Go get me a chicken. Go find a chicken from the neighbors and just get it, right? Slaughter it. And who does that? Raise your hand. We don't do that anymore. Have we ever done this in the past? Right? Hunters, we grew up or came from, our ancestors were hunters. When they got hungry, what did they do? Did they have a fridge? No fridge. Did they store food? Of course not. What did they do? They went out and hunted food. And it's not going to be a lot of food, so they ate what they needed. And they might be going for days without food. What about nowadays? Hey kids, go hunting in McDonald's, right? It's right around the corner. Every single Starbucks right here, right? Tons of food for breakfast this morning. Every single time you wish it, it's available. Food and drink all around us. We need to say alhamdulillah that we have all this food. Every single time you're thirsty, look at me. Bottle of water right away. I finished this, there's another bottle of water. We never ever needed food or drink. What ends up happening though is that people end up using so much of this. Overeating and over drinking. Saturating the needs. What happens when you overeat? Exactly. Very simple, thank you very much. It's not complicated. And you know what? I know a friend of mine who's a researcher who heard of the NIH. It's like one of the biggest research institutions. May Allah make some of you go work there with me. I asked her, and she does research on aging, people who get older. They try to find out why people get old, like not get older by age. Of course we're going to get older, but what makes someone age faster? What makes the body break faster? I said, can you give me one conclusion from all of your research? She says, one thing for sure is that the more you eat, the more your body will break down and age faster. Overeating. Extravagance. So food is needed. We're hungry, we need to eat. But overeating can kill you. Overdrinking can kill you. Similarly, brothers and sisters, there's a good way to interact in terms of boy meeting girl, and there's a bad way to interact in terms of boy meeting girl. The good way makes you happy just as eating in a balanced way. And not doing it in the wrong way can make you like that obese person who's on the way to death. Emotional death. Even physical death. Allah knows. It's not a healthy path. And I'm going to take you now through a story. Beautiful story. Because brothers and sisters, this whole notion of boy meeting girl, as I said, we're wired to think about it because we all want to get married one day. We're wired biologically to seek a mate and live with them just as our father Adam. So I remember me, when I was growing up, and I was your age, I'll never forget it. I always thought, I can't wait. I fantasize about the idea of finding the girl of my life, right? Well, subhanAllah, I'm going to live this perfect romantic story. And this girl exists out there, and she's going to complete me. She's going to overtake my life. And the love is going to be so beautiful, so incredible, that once I find her, all my problems will be solved. I'm going to live happily ever after. It's only a matter of time before I meet her, and when I meet her, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, everything will be solved. And everything will be so great. And she'll be the one. Where did you hear about the one? Any movie you can think of? The one? Which movie? Okay, there's tons of movies. How about The Matrix? The one, right? So I thought there was the one waiting for me somewhere. And because of movies that I constantly watched and love stories that I read about, what do they show you in movies? Oh, these incredible love stories. Love at first sight. They lock eyes. And suddenly, there's this fluttering feeling. And before you know it, it's the greatest story ever. Of course, it has to come dad or mom who introduce drama in their lives, but they have to overcome the drama, and then they just conquer the world and live happily ever after. I honestly thought I'm going to have a story like this. Fiction. These fantasies, brothers and sisters, and the pictures that bombard us left and right in commercials, on Valentine's Day, right? It's all over us. So it's feeding our brains with images about how boy meets girl and how girl meets boy and how this perfect romance happens in life. And I'm telling you something today. I got married 10 years ago, right? And I have twins. There is the pre-marriage tarif is me. Pre-marriage, stupid tarif, who thought marriage was something, like I had an idea about it, like how romance is. And there is the post-marriage tarif. Post-marriage tarif, the one that's standing in front of you, says pre-marriage tarif was stupid. Didn't have an idea. When did tarif start understanding what relationships are about and what romance is about and how you actually build love and whether that notion of romantic love at first sight is real or not? Now I know, because I'm married, because I saw what it's about and how to build it. So the ideas and the fantasies that I have, and believe me, if you came to me at the age of 17 or 18, because I went to college like ready, like I'm ready. I can't wait. I didn't have a job, by the way. I was living with daddy and mommy. But somehow the back of my brain, I'm like, who cares? We'll all make it, we're gonna make it happen, right? Once I find my future spouse, this girl that is out there, maybe in college, or waiting for me at a metro station, I'm just walking, I just see her, and it's like, subhanAllah, the beginning of a great love story. Once I find her, it's all gonna be great. It doesn't matter if I didn't have a job or a home. We'll make it work. And I thought I was really ready for it. I was so sure of it. So sure of it. But Allah, brothers and sisters, after I got married, I understood that all my ideas were fantasies. Because my ideas were borrowed from movies and stories that I read. And I've always thought the other people are so happy and they're living the dream and I'm so deprived. Oh, poor me. I'm so sorry for myself. That's how I was thinking. Well, Allah, I'm not lying to you. So I'm going to share with you a story. For me, this story, brothers and sisters, when I heard it, I was astounded. You would think that Allah would not be talking about love in the Quran. You would think that the prophets that we admire so much didn't go through encounters with the opposite gender. You know what? They are human. And they had feelings and emotions. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, brothers and sisters, lived the love story. Who knows this? He did. Prophet Musa ﷺ lived a love story. But their love stories are not like our love stories. There was love at first sight. When we think that we're in love, when you lock eyes on someone, you're like, she's in love with me. She looked at me, right? It's like, heck, like some people come up to me, no joke, I'm a chaplain, so I deal with kids day and night. Brother Tarif, I need to meet with you. I said, sure, let's go into the talk. I said, Brother Tarif, I'm in love. I'm like, wow, mashallah, how long have you, like, room? It's like, oh, you don't know her. I'm like, okay, how long have you known her? It's like, met her yesterday. Wow, and you're in love. I'm like, absolutely. And you think she's really, that's the one that you think you're gonna marry? It's like, absolutely, I'm so sure of it. I saw the signs. I'm like, oh, what are the signs? It's like, mashallah, I saw her praying. And she looked at me. It's deep. So you know about her also bathing characters, like, yeah, I heard her. She was listening to like Surah Al-Rahman. Like, wow, mashallah, listens to the Quran. But yeah, I'm so sure of it. And I saw her another time this morning, and our eyes locked again. I know in myself, you don't understand, Brother Tarif. I know, I feel it. Okay, do you have a job? No. Do you have a home like myself? No. But we're gonna make it work, right? Everybody thinks that way, brothers and sisters, and everybody's just waiting for that person to pop in their lives. I'm telling you that the prophets and their friends similarly interacted with the opposite gender. And they saw each other, subhanAllah, and they talked to each other. But the difference is as follows. We start in this high with this flutter in our hearts that somehow when I look at somebody and I'm attracted to them, and I had this euphoria, you know the euphoria of being in love, like with anything. It's a feeling that you really get when you fall in love with someone. But then we confuse that feeling of euphoria, excitement, ecstasy, that you get so excited, and by the way, it's all hormones. I study that on the side. I study psychology on the side, and I didn't realize all these feelings of euphoria are actually hormones in your brain. Hormones in your head. You know why people are on drugs? Who knows? Drugs are destructive. they devastate your life because they're addictive. You know what they do to your brain? So I took pain medicine before. I had to, undergo procedures and had surgery, so they gave me pain medicine. That's the closest that I got to, experiencing drugs. But it was medical. I remember when they inserted they gave me put the syringe in, I had a rush in my brain. Rush. I'll never forget it. It made me feel like I was floating. No joke. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. That was so exciting, and then I was out, right? Because it's supposed to knock you out. When I woke up and I'm married and my wife is a doctor, so I said, what is that? Like I felt something in my brain was so good. I felt like I was floating. There's no feeling of joy like that joy. She said, you're on drugs. I'm like, really? Can I replicate that? And she said, nope. To replicate that experience, you gotta take more drugs. She said, you see why people get addicted? Because they're experiencing something they're not gonna experience in normal life because of hormones and chemicals that are being produced in the brain. So they get addicted, they get hooked, and there are people who come to her clinic asking for pain meds all the time. She doesn't give it to them. She knows when they're addicted. They're a mess. Mess, brothers and sisters. So what I'm trying to tell you is that when you're in love, that love at first sight, when you're like, that fluttering feeling is all chemicals in the brain. We confuse real love, like the love that I'm about to tell you about, through a beautiful story in the Quran. We confuse it with this chemical reaction to feeling, being attracted to somebody and having these chemicals and hormones all over your brain. They're not the same. You know how I know? Because I experienced it myself. Before I got married, brothers and sisters, I too was checking girls around. I was thinking of a mate in my life, and I was young. I'll never forget when I also had a sister. I was like, Allah, she is the one. Right? She's looking at me. Every time I look, she's looking back. So there must be something about me that is very special. And she looks special. She is the one. Now I'm not ready for marriage. But what did I say earlier? We're gonna make it work. Right? Bad idea. Bad idea. Brothers and sisters, wallahi, I'll never forget. I started spending less time with my friends. United there, all I was thinking about is that girl. That's it. Because I'm a man and she's a woman and you feel attracted to each other. Very simple. Very simple. Now we're not talking, we're just because we're in the MSA, so we have to kind of keep up, I have to avoid her, but I'm thinking about, it's a mess. I started thinking less about my school, spending less time with my friends. Wallahi, it was the most painful time. Very painful time. It was not easy. But you know what? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, things didn't work out. It's not like I pursued that sister because I wasn't ready and reality hit that I'm like, what? I can't even open her home. This girl ends up being married. I'm like, oh man, so she was not the one, right? Because if she was the one, why the heck did she get married? Fast forward, brothers and sisters, 2 years later, I get married. When I got married and I built the real love, and I'll tell you later how we built it, when I reflect back on that story, I said, how foolish was I? I thought that was initial euphoria of being attracted to somebody. It was love, but Allah, it wasn't love. It was just a bunch of chemical reactions in my brain. It was an attraction. That's it. So let me tell you this beautiful story. Beautiful indeed. Allah speaks of love in the Quran because Allah is real. And He's trying to solve our problems in life and tell us how to be happy. Whoever listens to Allah and Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, I guarantee you today, this morning, you're going to be happy. Guaranteed. Any other way, wallahi, it will make us miserable. So Allah Azza wa Jalla tells us about how boy meets girl, and how character, and beauty, how chastity, and maintaining our boundaries can protect us and get us the best spouse. This is the story of Musa alayhi salam. He just killed a man in Egypt. I want you to think of what happened. Who heard of when Musa killed a man? Raise your hand. You know, he killed a man by accident. So somebody from his tribe, from Musa's tribe, said, well, I have a problem with this guy and he's giving me a hard time. Musa, by the way, was tough, muscular, and you don't want to mess with Musa, by the way. Of all the prophets, if you want to talk about a strong one, say our Musa, right? Trust me. Very tough man. Nobody can stand in his way. Very tough. Allah just gave him a strong build. He said, show him to me. So they see the man, and this man is like rowdy and messing with the man from his tribe, and Musa wanted to push him away, but Musa is very tough when he pushed him away. The guy got knocked over and died. Can you imagine? Like, oh my goodness, I just killed him. So all of Egypt now knew that Musa killed him, and they wanted to catch Musa and kill him. What did Musa do? Who knows? Ran away. Where do you run? You go back home and chill out in the closet? No, right? You can't do that. Now this is Fir'aun who's chasing after you with his soldiers. SubhanAllah, this is terrifying. This is real. Look at these prophets and what they went through. He had to escape all of Egypt, run away like a fugitive. Where would you go? It's a desert. He had no idea. He literally came out of his town and he's like, it's all desert. Where do I go? Then he turned to Allah. And I'm telling you, whenever you're confused, uncertain, you don't know what to do in life, I'm telling you, Allah, brothers and sisters, it helped me every single time I did it. I raised my hand to Allah. Ya Allah, show me the way. I don't see. I can't see into the future. Take me to the place that is going to make me happy, that is going to fulfill my needs. That's all that Musa did. Ya Allah, make me walk the path in this desert that'll take me to the place that is best for me. Can you imagine? And then walked with trust, without food or drink, or a blanket. Can you imagine a fugitive in the middle of a big desert, the Sinai desert, and started walking? How did those days go by? Allah knows. He survived. And ended up in a town that he has no idea what it is. It was called what? Who knows? Who knows the name of the town? Nobody knows. Median. You heard of Median? Median. So it's called Median. Flourishing ancient town. Beautiful. With springs and gardens. Beautiful town. But he had no idea what that town was. He didn't know anybody in it. He just stood there as a stranger. He's a fugitive. Broken, poor, hungry, thirsty. Exhausted from a multi-day trip in the desert. Allah knows, maybe several weeks in the desert. He just goes around and he's exhausted. He sits under a tree. Under a tree. And it was close to a spring of water. He looks at it, but he just didn't go there to drink because there's a lot of people around him. And he's just exhausted. So he sat to wait, maybe until they leave. Bunch of men around the spring or the well, and they looked like rowdy men, pushing, shoving, like they didn't look like they had any manners, right? And he's like not bothering with them. Suddenly he looks, at a distance from where he was, and he sees two girls. He sees two girls. Now, what was happening with those two girls? They had sheep, and they were literally tugging on the sheep to keep them back. Keep them back from what? Who knows? The what? The well, because the sheep saw water, like, leave me, I want to go drink. And the girls are tugging, it's like a tug of war, pulling the sheep back. Why were they pulling the sheep back? Who knows? But why didn't they let them just go drink water? Or just go take a drink water? Who knows? What did I just say? Who was around the well? Rowdy men, pushing and shoving with no manners. They're like, we can't bother, like we cannot be mixing with these men. They just look like they're messed up, right? We don't want to be harassed. So they're holding on to the sheep, struggling with them, by themselves without any man with them. Who saw this? Musa. Now what would you do? You just came from several weeks in the desert. You're hungry, you're thirsty, you're exhausted, you cannot even stand up. You see this sight where a bunch of people, rowdy men, terrible men, using the well, and these two girls in the corner, they cannot feed or use the water, and you're exhausted, and you're tired, and you don't know any of them. And these are two single girls, and you're a man by yourself. What would you do? Young brothers, what would you do? Who can tell me? Put yourself in it. Seriously. How many of us would say, none of my business? Raise your hand. I mean, in our community right here, in our culture, you see a scene like this in the streets. Like, you know what? These two girls, like, they need to get in line, but men are pushing and shoving, and these girls are just waiting. Here's what happens, brothers. It's very easy for us to say, it's none of my business. And I'm tired or hungry. Like, I don't have any energy for this, right? Instantly, what did Musa do? What do you think? Now, how about this? Oh, you know what? These girls might not be like following my faith, may not be worshiping my God. I don't know about them. I'm not going to bother with them. They're not from my country. They don't look like me. He could have had any excuse not to go bother with those two girls. You know what he did? And who is telling us this story? Who's telling us this story? Where's the story, by the way? In the Quran. This story is in Surah Al-Qasas in the Quran. Allah is telling us this story, our Creator. Musa right away knew that this was wrong. This is messed up. And I have to do the right thing. What is the right thing? Go check out the girls? Hey, you know who I am? Have you heard of me? Musa. I'm like the man from Egypt, dude. No. He knew he had to go help those two girls. He instantly walked up to them, brothers and sisters. Walked up to the two girls and talked to them. I mean, sometimes we think it's not okay to talk to somebody of the opposite gender. It's not about talking to them. He was there to help the two girls, and he was very much to the point. Instantly, he didn't say, hey, what's your name? You look like you needed something. What's your name? My name is Musa. He didn't even introduce himself. He says, what is wrong? What do you need? Right away. Now, these two girls are single. They see this man who looked like muscular by himself, and there's a bunch of rowdy men. What could they have thought? This man just came up to us and he's saying, what is wrong? They could have thought like, oh my God, is this guy here to harass us? Like, what's up with him? You know that somebody's offering help and you accept and they end up just freaking you out, right? It happens all the time, by the way. Girls might, a guy comes up and he says, oh, let me help you out with this, and she might accept. And as I said, before she knows it, this man is like all over her, freaking her out. So they could have easily been intimidated by this. So they didn't want to have him have any ideas. You know what they said? He says, we're just tending to the sheep. We're tending to the sheep, and our father is an old man. What are they saying to him? Who can tell me? What does this statement say? We're tending to the sheep, and our father is an old guy. What are they telling Musa essentially? We're here for business, right? Make sense? And our father. Why would they say our father? He's an old guy. Who can tell me? Number one, we have a father, right? Don't mess with us, right? Don't mess with us, I have a father. But he's old. That's why we're here by ourselves. Make sense? So they were short and to the point, and they were real. They don't want to have Musa think of anything strange because they don't know him. Right? Musa knew right away, dear brothers and sisters, that these are two girls who are helping their father out, and they're there to tend to the sheep and water the sheep. But these crazy men down there are the ones who are not even courteous enough to say, hey, come and water your sheep and then we'll make space for you. They didn't care for them. Uncaring men. He says, don't worry about it. He took the sheep right away, went to the well, pushed the men aside, and nobody can mess with Musa. He was really tough, made space, and took care of the sheep and fed them. It must have taken some time for that to happen. It wasn't just, in 5 minutes. These two girls were on the hill just watching as all of that unfolded before their eyes. It took a while. It was an exhausting effort. Musa was hungry himself, brothers and sisters, but this was the right thing to do. He was done. What did he do next? Think about it. I'm a fugitive. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. There are these two girls that I just helped out big time. What could cross your mind? Like, let me go back with the sheep. And so Musa comes up. It's like, hey, I just did this for you. My name is Musa. By the way, what's your name? Can I have your number? Or, help out a man here. I just came from the desert. Do you have anything with you? Can feed me? Where's your home? Did he say this? He just gave them the sheep, and what did he do? Assalamu alaikum. I want to ask you. He left. Without saying anything. No chit-chatting, no conversations, nothing. Allah tells us in the Quran, the story, He says, he walked back to a tree and sat down. So I want to ask you a question. First of all, why did he do that? Why did he help them? To impress them? Raise your hand if you think he was there to impress them. Because he wanted to check them out and it's like, let me show off. Because I'm tough, I can do this. Did he want to show off? Absolutely not. Was he probably hoping they would come back and say, hey Musa, thank you very much for this? And no, because sometimes you do something and just you walk away, but you're still hoping they would come to you and thank you. Dating has been shown, proven in fact, not to be an effective or healthy way of getting to know a person, because it ends up not being about getting to know a person. It ends up about enjoying each other physically. That's what the problem with it is. It's not serious. Islam says no, you gotta get to know the person. But you need to know what's called courting. Now it's different in different cultures. I do courting. Like I feel like that's the healthiest way. With the knowledge of the parents, you get to know the person. And you need to meet as long as needed to really understand who that person is, their priorities, their goals, their temperament, to check them out, like see how they behave, to know who their families are, as long as needed, and then say, you know what, it looks like we're compatible, or it looks like we're not compatible. I go through it all the time with the people that I work with, so I help them in the courting process. Now, how to get to know the person to court is a different story. We have a lot of challenges with it. It's not an easy thing. So I would say, for example, in college, like I've seen a lot of friends get to know sisters, or sisters get to know brothers, alhamdulillah through the MSA, and then they're like, said, you know what, we're both serious, let's start to get to know each other. Alhamdulillah, it ends up like they end up getting married. So that's a possible space. But I would say the following. I'm going to caution all my brothers and sisters. Don't ever start considering anyone before you're ready for marriage. Like I saw like a bunch of kids in college, they're like in freshman. So like Musa, no job. Like years away from having a job, years away from being able to open a home. They don't have a degree or anywhere close, and they're like, I'm in love, brother. I'm trying to figure out a way for them, like, okay, great. What do you think you can realistically open a home? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, great. So a year from now, I'm like, no way. I'm like, great. So 2 years from now, no, doesn't look like it. I'm like, okay, so you're gonna be in love with this person for 7 years, and then get married? He's like, yeah. I'm like, it doesn't work. It does not work. Wallahi, it does not work. So I caution people, I say, protect your heart. Because when you know a person, you get close to them, your heart is going to be involved, I guarantee you. Girls get attracted to boys, and boys get attracted to girls. That's how Allah created us. I remember when I thought I liked a girl, personally, emotionally, I was depleted. And it took me away, wallahi, from my friends. I ended up not enjoying my time. Because all I was doing is thinking about, marrying this girl. It never happened because I wasn't ready. So wallahi, I regret it. Like I said, oh shoot, I wasted my time and emotions, and I got scarred. Your heart deserves better. So the advice that I give the people that I work with, the young kids, I said, protect your heart. Don't start thinking about something before you're ready. Now when you get to be ready, you start thinking to yourself, you know what, I'm now ready to consider people. So you see it either through family. Family might introduce you to somebody. Maybe somebody you've met. It depends on like how your family dynamics are and what's okay and what's not okay. Everybody's different. But I would personally encourage that, definitely when we are at the right age, we should introduce boys to girls and girls to boys. Conventions like this. Not when you're not ready though. I caution. Not when you're not ready. Because as I said, men and women are attracted to each other, and we need to protect each other and guard ourselves so that we don't fall into sin. Right? And we don't end up also affecting each other emotionally. I want to tell you something, brothers and sisters. People who go through a lot of relationships before marriage, when they get married, guess what their mind will be telling them? You see your wife, you're like, oh man, she's not like the girl I used to see. I'm comparing. And the more people you saw before marriage, the more you're like thinking about it. So it actually will reduce the quality of your marriage. So does that answer your question? I want to say though, it is a challenge. It's not an easy thing, and I think our organizations and mosques, we need to do more, inshallah, to introduce men and women to each other, young men and women to each other through a beautiful process where we help them out to get to know each other. It might work, it might not work, but at least it's done right to protect them, inshallah. Any other questions before we wrap? Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
You said you cannot marry a person you don't know, right? So how do you feel about arranged marriage?
How do I feel about what?
Arrangement.
Arrange?
Yeah.
Okay, depends on what arrange is. Some arrange I reject, some arrange is okay. It depends on how you define and apply. Here's one possibility of arranged marriage. What's your name?
My name? Tawfiq.
Tawfiq?
Yeah.
So there's a Fatima behind us, right here. You don't see her. She's sitting behind the podium. Her name is Fatima. Tawfiq, I'm your dad. Gonna marry Fatima. Cool? Alright. July 13th. Done. That's arranged. One way of doing arranged. How do you feel about this?
I would get paid.
She's exactly what it's saying. Why does somebody get to the problem who did that? It's like, I'm gonna marry her. It's like, did you ever even see her? It's like, no. It's like, oh no. At least show me where's Fatima. Fatima, are you here? She's not here. She doesn't exist, right? That's one way of doing it. That is, I respect. I don't want to like no parents are here. I reject this. This is not Islam. It's actually haram. You cannot do this. Haram. I'm telling you, you get older, don't let that happen to you. You have every right. You need to like the person. Remember what I'm telling you. You need sisters and brothers. You need to like the person you're marrying. Don't ever let anybody tell you, oh, no. All later, you're going to have to worry about that. You get to know them after the marriage. I'm like, sure. That's why half the people end up getting divorced. It's disastrous. So yes, no to that. Another arranged marriage. Tawfiq. I know this girl, her name is Fatima. Great family. Tawfiq. Why don't we introduce you to her? Just get to know each other. Inshallah will help you out. You can meet, inshallah, with her, talk to her. I'll be there to help you out. As long as you guys need. I already spoke with her father. No. If you're interested, I can talk to her father to see if he would allow for you guys to get to know each other, to see if you're compatible. What do you think of that, Tawfiq? And I feel like you're ready. Like, you're on your way to graduation. Inshallah, in a year, you'll have your home. I'll help you out, with the little money that I have. But don't ask for too much. What do you think, Tawfiq?
I'm good with that.
Good with that? All right. I'll go talk to the dad. So I'll call the dad, and the dad might say, nope, I'm not interested. Or my girl is not ready. Tawfiq, tough luck. At least you're not invested emotionally, right? You're like, all right, who cares? I've never known her to feel like, oh man, I can't believe they rejected me, right? I love Fatima. Oh my God, you broke my heart. That happens a lot, by the way. I'm like, that's why you shouldn't have gotten involved to begin with, because you're not ready, and the situation is not right. And people's hearts break. I want you to protect your hearts, brothers and sisters. He has no idea who Fatima is. Like, okay, who cares? Who's next, right? Now, if the father accepted, I'll go talk to the father. This is what happened in my marriage. The father said, sure. No, actually, the father went and checked with my wife. Her name is Salam. Salam, are you interested in seeing this guy? His name is Tariq, somewhere. He's like, sure. Tell me a little bit about him. He says, well, I know his family, and I heard about them, blah, 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 blah. I heard he does such and such and such. He's active in the community. He loves this. What do you think based on this profile? She heard enough. She said, you know what? That looks interesting. Let me meet him. And alhamdulillah, we met. So this is how it happens. If the girl says no, like no. But alhamdulillah, if they're willing, you guys meet under the, subhanAllah, the guardianship of the family, in whatever appropriate ways. Everybody's different. For as long as you want. You can almost call this arranged, but not like the first arranged. The first arranged is X, no. The second arranged, I love it. That's courtship, right? Or you might be yourself saying, you know what, I know someone, dad, it looks like, it's not like, alhamdulillah, it looks like I'm looking at somebody who could be looking at like a good candidate. What do you think of this? Can we pursue this? But some parents are like very rigid about this. They're like, no way. I gotta get you the person and so forth. I mean, arranges different things to different people, but there are acceptable ways and unacceptable ways. And Allah knows best. Make sense? May Allah give you, inshallah, the best person. Say Ameen. Best spouse, inshallah. All of you, inshallah. May Allah marry you the best spouses. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah bless all of you, keep you strong, keep you faithful, inshallah. I love being with you. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. If you have any questions after this, come and talk to me, inshallah. Jazakumullah.